worked it out. I've known Pete and Sammy nearly 30 years. We've been good friends.
Our first Sunday at Emmaus Road.
It was 7 years ago.
I arrived at Emmaus in 2012.
Yvonne Arnaud? Yep.
I walked into what was then Guildford Boiler Room at the end of 2011.
I came in 2015 from Canada into the Electric Theatre.
Our first Sunday here at Emmaus was back in 2017 over at the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre.
I joined Emmaus a little bit later in 2013, just as it was moving into the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre.
My first Sunday at Emmaus Road Church was in 2012 and we were at the Stoke pub.
I had been doing sort of urban mission street front church. So when I came to Emmaus Guildford, I'm like, nobody here is drunk and disorderly. What kind of church is this?
Pete and Sammy kind of initiated in the early days was that every year as a church we would celebrate Burns Night, which I'm not sure many churches do, but it was just that spoke to kind of their just love of having fun and a party and getting people together.
I joined the welcome team the second Sunday that I came along. That involved handing out some free sports Bibles if people wanted them, that we'd got from a man called Limvoy Primus. That's a blast from the past. And yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks in to coming along to the church, Pete said to me and my friend Jess, do you want to lead the student work? We were like, sure.
It was very warm and embracing and friendly. It was tiny, or say intimate. We arrived one week with a family called the Bennetts and the Millers, and when we arrived, I think we, as a group in the church, the numbers of the kids doubled. Up till that point, it had been the Greigs, the Thomases, and Scott and Misty Bowers family.
I loved having a barman from Bethlehem that we could invite people into. We had pizza feasts, and it was all very rough and ready, but at the heart of everything was community, always.
For me, they've always been an example of friendship, wholehearted commitment and single-mindedness to pursue what God has been asking them to do. You know, knowing Pete and Sammy has been one of God's greatest gifts to me in my life and in my ministry.
I ended up meeting Pete and Sammy, and their relationship with me was like spiritual parents. They cared for me with love and kindness and attention and curiosity, and gave me space to process even the painful edges of life and ministry, but with an incessant ability to point me back to Jesus.
I think that what I've always appreciated about Pete and Sammy and always been inspired by has been their commitment to lead from what they feel like the Lord has said to them. And that at times has always looked like, is there more that could be going on?
The thing that really struck me about Pete and Sammy and the way they led was the amount of permission they gave me to try new ideas, to dream big about vision and where we were going with the youth and kids work. And I think they really taught me how to fail and succeed well.
Something that I think I'll always remember is the way that the presence has always been a real priority, and in meetings, like how they would start, even kind of functional, practical meetings would start with a sense of inviting the presence and start with like a connection with everyone in the room. And so it feels like an exciting thing to be part of. Even in very practical meetings, there's something that's felt like, yes, I want to be part of that.
On a Thursday morning, me and another guy, and we would just like have kind of bacon. Oh, did she just, I think she just fell asleep. Pete and Sammy just really like took me under their wing, and they really, I mean, they trusted me with a lot from the early days, and I was leading worship in the church before I even knew I was a worship leader and stuff like that. Pete would come around to my student house on a Thursday morning, me and another guy. Just really like gave a lot of his time to us as young leaders, and just that really had a profound impact on my life.
And I think too, one thing I've appreciated about Sammy is her willingness to go on adventure. Because we know, of course, that Pete is very adventurous. And I remember sitting down in a restaurant with Pete and Sammy, and Pete was like, we're going to buy a boat, and we're going to live in it. I thought, oh my goodness, I just looked at Sammy, she's just like, but she's up for it, right? She's up for the adventure. And I think Sammy is the epitome of kindness. And I know that that's a priority for that, something that she practices with intention. She created a home for my heart.
Pete is a visionary and has a natural curiosity for Jesus and for the church, and to see people flourish, and has a wicked sense of humour.
Their resilience is incredible. I think their commitment is incredible. You know, they throw themselves into whatever they feel God is giving them to do, and I think that has been a model for the 24/7 prayer movement as well as Emmaus Road.
I think for me, for both of them, it feels like their life is a message. And so this, just intentional decision to keep the main thing, which is their walk with Jesus and the fruit of that decision to follow him wholeheartedly, and how that has essentially affected everything.
When we were pregnant with our first baby, we had a really scary diagnosis at our 20-week scan. They just really rallied around us, prayed with us, and we just felt their encouragement and their love and support.
It would always be building. It's like that improv rule that you say yes and. It's like, it was always like, yes, we can do this, and how are we going to make it happen, and what are we going to do next? It was always growing, there was always momentum around it, and it was always so much fun, right? But also it was yes and, but it was also working out how to say no well to one another. I think that's what you taught us as well. It was the art of disagreeing well and kind of just wrestling stuff out.
I think for me, I'm so grateful for all the investment that we had from Pete and Sammy. We learned so much from them over the many years that we ministered together alongside them. The thing that really stands out in my mind, and the thing that I'm the most grateful for, is actually for their prayers. Pete and Sammy prayed with us and for us through so many, doing life together for over a decade. We walked through some pretty gnarly moments together with them, and to have them praying with and for us and our community, I can't really express how much that meant.
I remember when I first joined, it was a real strong sense of community. We would work together, we would hang out together, we would live together, meeting new people, making friends, and being accepted and welcomed into that community. And I think that was a really great legacy of Pete's and Sammy's.
We had a disagreement about something in a leadership team meeting, and Scott and I went home feeling like it wasn't quite resolved.
Just about to give up.
Yeah. But lo and behold, at 10 o'clock at night, or 10:30, there was a knock on our door, and it was you, Pete. And you were determined not to let the disagreement over whatever the issue was, that I can't remember now, affect our friendship. And relationship has always been really important to you, and we appreciate that, and we've learnt a lot from that.
Yeah. If I were to say one thing to Pete and Sammy for the season ahead, I would say bring the play wherever you go. Emmaus Road is pray, play, obey, and that's very much, their DNA in who we are as a church. But bring the joy, bring the play to every environment that you go into.
I think I've always been struck just watching you guys lead for well over a decade. This unique place you seem to have that God has given you to just give confidence to the church, not just Emmaus, but it just feels like the church everywhere.
Yeah.
Where you guys go, it feels like you inspire faith and you inspire a confidence in the gospel again. We're behind you, praying for you, excited for that season, and excited for you to be released into just going and starting fires in more places, inspiring more people with the gospel in the unique way that you do. Go get them.
Thank you for committing so much of your life to building the church in which I have found lifelong friends.
I'm full of excitement for them in this next season, that God will continue to do immeasurably more than they can ask or think.
I would love to say to Pete and Sammy, the roar of God's favor and the love of your church community are absolutely over you. And there is such a tremendous opportunity to release the message of Jesus in ways that are playful and creative and absolutely engaging to our world today.
To continue the good work to spread the message of the gospel with enthusiasm, with the energy that they both bring.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I have a future here in Guildford.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I operate in the fullness of the gifting God has called me to.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I'm motivated to pursue the fullness of God's calling on my life.
Because of Pete and Sammy, we are part of Emmaus Road.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I think we feel known and loved by God.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I have been developed and empowered to be the leader that I am today.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I've got to do what I feel like I was put on the planet to do.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I am ready for the next adventure.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I feel confident in knowing how to be a good leader despite all the challenges that might come up.
Because of Pete and Sammy, I am a more creative leader because of the freedom that they have given me.
Because of Pete and Sammy, we are raising our family in Guildford, leading Emmaus through Guildford and having the time of our lives.